Hi, Larry Berman here, and here's what's on my radar this week. We needn't look further than Washington, D.C. for pretty much everything that's happening that's market related this week. So we saw a big jump in the polls on the debate between what has to be two of the worst candidates that we could possibly imagine for the leadership of the free world. But nevertheless, Joe Biden got an uptick in some of the polls, and we can see that as it relates to stocks that and how they're performing in the Biden universe or Biden policy universe versus the Trump universe. So a little notch up there, but of course towards the end of the week, the sad news that President Trump and his wife Melania and others around the White House staff have contracted COVID is really a curveball that no one was anticipating in terms of what that means for markets. There's a couple meaningful outcomes from this. One, I think it stimulates the White House and the Republicans to push forward and come up towards the Democrats in terms of market stimulus. There's been a lot of hope this week for a stimulus bill. As we sit here late Friday, it looks like the Congress has adjourned for the break. Certainly they could be called back in an instant to vote on a bill, but it looks like no skinny bill, no big bill, nothing's getting done. Of course, they're still talking. So that's a real big positive. But when we look at the Real Clear Politics election polls, it seems pretty obvious that it looks like looking more and more like a Trump loss, a Biden White House, and increasingly at the state level, very, very tight, with the potential inching up this week that we get a Democratic sweep. We do know from the debates and Trump's rhetoric that we are going to have a very contested election result, and that's going to present added volatility for financial markets. In terms of the economy, good news, the jobs picture continues to improve, but the rate of change and improvement is turning negative. We actually had the lowest labor participation rate since 1976, down at 61.4%. In fact, all the improvement of women entering the labor force in the 70s, 80s, and 90s has been completely reversed. One of the policy implications here is going to be from the electorate, perhaps, that demand increases for a universal basic income. Folks, that's not going to put people to work, but that may be where some of the moderate vote moves, and it could be why some people have exited the labor force. So very, very interesting dynamics here for sure. We're seeing a big move back into options markets again. The big whales are back. The independent investors are back. There's a lot of speculation on what's called the gamma trade in some of these names for the October expiry. S&P 500, 3,400 strike, very important. 3,200 strike, very important. We're likely going to ping pong in that trading range as we get closer in the third week of October to options expiry. If we break to the downside, a lot of forced selling. If we break to the upside, there could be a lot of forced buying from the option hedger market. So that range will be very interesting. But I got to think when the break comes, it's going to be to the downside, given the expectation for fiscal support that's largely priced in at this point, and the disappointment thereof, and the uncertainty around the outcome of the U.S. election, especially with COVID-19 circulating the administration. Our bull and bear pick of the week focuses on a basket of stocks that are, pro-Biden policy, a basket of stocks that are short pro-Trump policy. And that kind of comes into a bit of the value trade. A lot of the Biden policies are going to be pro-value. A lot of the Trump policies are going to be more pro-growth. A lot has to do with the amount of debt and stimulus, what that means for bond markets, what that means for yields in general. So no specific recommendation in terms of individual ETFs, other than we want to emphasize being short some of the Trumpier names, some of the growthier names, and we want to be long some of the more value names, some of the more Biden type names in portfolios. Have a great week, everybody. And again, tune in Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right through the U.S. election into December, weekly for our market updates and lots of time for Q&A in our Berman's Call virtual roadshow that's now underway. Have a great week, everybody. And remember, follow us on YouTube and check the alerts so that you know when we have new content out.